Hello, I am the Dance of Life dancer. Welcome to 7 Days in Hell, my true life experience, Part 11. The voice said, "You didn't miss him. In fact, you slammed your truck into that car and have been since in the hospital in intensive care, cut up in a coma. Your legs are crushed off. You tore your truck and yourself all to pieces. That's where you're at, fighting for your life. You're in limbo. Now, you're between life and death. You're not in jail, you're not in a cell, but you're going between both lives, both heaven and hell. You're going back and forth." I stood there silent, as if I could see myself torn to pieces in a big white bed with a breathing mask over my face. I kept thinking I was about to wake up and I would be in that bed in a busted up condition, alive but cut to pieces, never dancing again, never doing anything again, never being who I am again. I kept saying to myself, going towards it, I kept seeing myself going towards that breathing mask, the breathing mask coming onto my face, as if I was going to wake up from a horrible dream and switch places and be in that bed. I saw my body trying to merge as I felt myself in both places at once. I felt the I felt the pain in my torn up, cut up body. I saw the truck slam into the car. I apologize. I saw the truck slam into my car, and I saw the car in my red truck all over the highway. I'm laying in the street dying. This repeated itself over and over again. Then again, I was in the cell again. This time, passing, I kept hearing the demons, thousands of them in the background, telling me out loud, in my mind, calling out to me, "Susan, you're dying. Susan, you're dying." I screamed out loud, begged until I couldn't not maintain it no more. I heard someone in the other cell, in another room, again say, it could not. Again, I heard someone in the other room, again and again. I was back in the same holding building again. This time, there was 2 people in 2 cells, number 2 and number 1, as I was in. I was told by these people in the cells, as I asked his name in cell 1 was Mr. Johnson. "Am I dead, Mr. Johnson? Am I dead?" He answered, "Not yet, Susan. You're hanging there. You're still hanging there in cell number 6. You're dying." I thought to myself, someone just told me a while ago I was in a truck accident, and I saw myself laying on the street dying. How could I die twice? How could I be in the cell dying too? This doesn't make sense. Someone came into the rooms and said, "Susan, you need help." As I heard again, people screaming in agony, trying to get at me, tormentors, demons reaching out from all over directions. I was tortured with total confusion. Am I dead? Am I dying? Am I hanging in cell block number 6? Have I been in a truck accident and dying from that? Exactly what's happening to me? All of it can't be real. Or did I get killed in that 2007 truck accident on the highway? How could both things be true? I apologize. As I turned here, all of my thoughts, as if God was reading everything that I was thinking out loud. How could this be happening? How in God can this other person be hearing all of my thoughts? The other guy was telling me back everything I was thinking, literally repeating things I wasn't even saying out loud. He was repeating my thoughts. I was thinking every word was in my mind, he said out loud. In this place was hell, this death. My thoughts came out loud. Is that what happens in hell? I don't know. I still don't know to this day. And the others, can you hear them? I could hear them out loud. And I repeat back to them, I can hear the thoughts. I can hear your thoughts out loud. Because I could hear what they were saying. I could hear their thoughts out loud. I screamed out, where in hell am I? What has happened? Where in hell am I? Again I said, what is this? Is it a madhouse? Am I still in hell? All of a sudden, the supposed psychologist named Mark came in the hallway to my room. He asked me questions. Two is, who is the president? What day is it? The questions they had asked to someone in a psych place or something. What day is it? What was my name? Although I told him the right answers, I told him the president was Obama, the black guy. I told him the right day of the week. I heard myself tell him the correct answers. However, a few minutes later, the guy next to me in cell number 1 asked me, Susan, why did you tell him what you told him? I think he said, why did you tell him Charlie was the president? He asked, why did you tell him it was June the 11th, even though it's January 3rd? I said, my God, I did not tell him that. I told him the correct answer. I told him Obama, not Charlie. Somehow, Mark the psychologist was hearing me saying the wrong answers. In fact, the same psychologist asked the guy in cell number 1 the same questions, and the guy in cell number 1 answered in my voice. My voice came out of the person's mouth in cell number 1. He gave the psychologist my answers, and I gave the psychologist Mark his answers. In other words, his voice came out of my mouth somehow. I'm not sure if I can explain what it is I mean. We somehow exchanged voices. His voice, he was the guy telling Mark, the doctor, the wrong answer, Charlie. However, somehow it was transferred to my cell in my mouth. His voice was coming out of my mouth. I was saying what he was thinking. The guy in the center cell, in cell number 2, said, my God, what's going on here? You're saying what he means, and he's saying what you mean. Somehow, he could hear both voices. As I observed the center cell number 2 in the center, I could see what looked like some kind of break, some kind of line, some kind of rip in between the two cells. I could see it. I could see what looked like some kind of break. The two cells, smoke, ash, and dead air was puffing out of it, as if the two cells were somehow split apart in time, different times. I could literally see the first two cells and the last two cells shift up and down, as if they were floating on top of a lake of water. The first two cells were in one time period, and the second two cells were in yet another time period, different place. Somehow the times were placed somehow together. And the guy in the corner cell was literally hearing both sides of this time displacement. He was repeating both what I said and what Mark heard. What he heard me say. The guy was also repeating what the other guy in cell number 1 said. And also what Mark the doctor heard him say. I'm sorry. I heard this center guy saying, my God, what is this? What's going on here? I can't believe this, he said. Then I said back, hearing my own thoughts, I could hear these words. I would not say in my mind, wait a minute. I could hear these words. I would say in my mind, think of a set of words. Think of a set of words, and then 15 seconds later, as if they had been recorded, I'd hear him say the same words back. in the same order that I said them. I heard it back a few seconds later in Mr. Johnson's cell number 1, the two cells down. He could hear the same thoughts. He could hear my thoughts out loud. Even though I wasn't saying a single word, I could hear his thoughts. And also every word per word, as if we were dead in the same hell, or worse. Then things seemed to slow down a bit. So I again tried talking to Mr. Johnson, trying to get to know him. It was then I knew, the way he talked and acted, that he was also dead. As he told me, the last thing that happened was cutting himself with a razor blade. His leg. He told me he had cut his leg, the vein. He cut his vein. Then he woke up and he was here. Am I he? He was dying or dead. I am he. He was dying, or he has died already. When chills streaked down through me, when I realized we were both of us in God's waiting room. Both of us were there. We were in God's limbo, being judged. We're being decided as to what to do with us. Send us back to our life on earth, or to death, or to send us to hell. It was a total feeling of complete separation from everyone. All life again. I was being placed in a judgment bar. Again, I was placed in the judgment bar of God. The judges said, well, Susan, you did this other thing. You did this. The other judge then spoke up, said, yes, but Susan was forgiven for that. Yes, said yet another judge, but Susan didn't believe. Didn't believe in this. In God. She didn't believe in God. And yet the fourth judge said, Susan did this. She stole this. Yes, said the fifth judge. Send Susan to hell. Yes, hell, said the sixth judge. And I felt all of myself, my body literally going numb, frozen in fear. I cried out, no, please, no, God, I have changed. No, God, give me another chance. Please, God, don't send me to hell. I want to live. I don't want to die. Please, God, God in heaven, help me, please. I screamed out in torment and mental pain. Voice came out of me, of God, forever in hell. I'll be sentenced forever in hell. My God. Again, I was back in the cell again, going down towards hell. The cell was going down like an elevator, down a shaft. As I lashed out, as pieces of flesh torn away my body, as the creature was tearing me to pieces, I saw a large shaft going up. Creatures were chained somehow to the stone walls. Nightmarish creatures of all twisted sizes and shapes. Everything I couldn't even tell you. I again screamed out to God as blood was pouring out of my spit. I realized in pure horror what was happening to me. My former life was over. My dance, my love of life is gone. I'll never have another quiet minute ever again. I'll never ever rest again. There can't be no rest here. I'll never ever have any peace of mind again. My thirst was so great my mouth was swollen up from lack of water. It felt as if hot sand was in my mouth, as my tongue stuck to my mouth, and I could not breathe. The filthy rotten stench, the stink, the taste of rotten flesh, burning skin, brimstone, stale toxic waste, flames was so sickening I was throwing and coughing up mucus, blood, and pieces of decayed flesh from in my mouth. But the worst, in this sincere, the total absolute hopelessness of an eternity in hell. My dear God, I yet yelled and screamed out as if I was standing on the rim. I was then standing on the rim of a huge pit. I could see and hear